Oh, hello! Tolkien, Rowling, George Lucas. All these literary giants spawned works that transform popular...
Stop. George Lucas is not a literary giant. You gotta change that.
Well, excuse me for trying to inject some class into our show. Though he may not be as well known stateside, late Swedish author Stieg Larsson's work also continues to resonate, with The Girl in the Spider's Web continuing the story of hacker Elizabeth Salander on the big screen. This week on Heat Vision Breakdown, we look at what happens when art grows bigger than the artist that creates it, and the good and bad that comes along with it. There's no better example of work continuing after its artist has moved on than in the comic book world. In fact, the whole notion is built in. Someone creates a character, the character becomes a hit with readers, then the character gets reinterpreted by an endless string of creative teams for the next 600 years. The creators of Batman and Superman have long since passed on, yet we're still getting movies made about them starring Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. Oh, wait. While Stan Lee hasn't been actively involved in the characters of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 40-something years, those characters are infinitely more popular and profitable than Lee could have imagined. Except the Fantastic Four. They're not.
What happened to me?
I don't know.
Harry Potter, just a little over 20 years old, still remains firmly in the hands of author J.K. Rowling, but she's also seen her beloved wizard interpreted by screenwriters, actors, and directors as distinct as Alfonso Cuarón and Chris Columbus, who have left their marks on the franchise. Rowling is currently penning the remaining 3 scripts planned for her Fantastic Beasts films, while she co-wrote the story of the play, The Cursed Child, taking place 19 years after the final Potter book. She's maintained that there will be no further sequels to Harry's story, and that may remain true, but who's to say what Potter will look like 20 years from now, or 40 years from now? Unlike other series that continue for decades and spin off into other franchises, Rowling's Potterverse has been positively reviewed across the board, for the most part. I still don't know why Colin Farrell had to become Johnny Depp. Kind of put a blonde wig on Farrell? He shaved his head for Ben Affleck's Daredevil, for crying out loud. Star Wars, ironically, shows that sometimes collaboration is the key to success. George Lucas, who gets the lion's share of the praise and the blame for the iconic sci-fi series, stepped aside as director after the first entry in the franchise became a massive hit, bringing on other collaborators to helm Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, to success. The 2 best films in the entire franchise. Yeah, that's right, I like the Ewoks. They're cute. In a certain way, Star Wars grew beyond its author almost as soon as it was created. People forget, but before even the second film in the series hit theaters, there were already dozens of spin-off comics and stories released that were set in Lucas's fledgling galaxy far, far away. Lucas himself even took a step back from the director's chair for the next 2 films. Of course, that could be due in large part to the fact that he was diagnosed with hypertension brought on by the stress of making the first film, and passed the reins to the capable hands of Irving Kushner for the 1980s sequel. Good choice, George. The works of J.R.R. Tolkien exemplify that sometimes reinterpreting a property for a new generation can bring about something better than expected. Peter Jackson captured lightning in a bottle over the 18 months he filmed his adaptation of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, a series of films that yielded a Best Picture Oscar win for 2003's Return of the King, and paved the way for mainstream audiences to embrace things like HBO's Game of Thrones or the upcoming Netflix Witcher series. But did it live up to the serious themes Tolkien, an accomplished and learned professor, sought to convey? According to his son Christopher, no. The commercialization has reduced the aesthetic and philosophical impact of the creation to nothing, he said in 2013, and that was before The Hobbit was made into 3 movies. As much as Tolkien the Younger might not like it, Middle-earth will continue to be exploited for commercial reasons, as Amazon is developing a pricey series based on it. Speaking of fantasy, Game of Thrones has arguably grown bigger than author George R.R. Martin, probably because it will have spawned 8 seasons of television quicker than it's taken Martin to write 1 single book. I want it. The popular HBO show adapting his work has essentially ruined plot twists that presumably would have come in Martin's later books, and proved a number of fan theories right. Though, to be fair, R+L=J was basically considered canon in fan circles years before the show aired. I didn't figure it out though. In a sense, it seems that Game of Thrones growing beyond Martin could be responsible for Martin still not finishing the series. Ever. Every time he shows up to a premiere, snarky commentators like Aaron wonder why he isn't at home writing instead of out enjoying his celebrity. The man worked for nearly 30 years as an unknown writer. Let him enjoy some Trey Pass hors d'oeuvres and specialty cocktails. Aaron, snarky commentator, let him enjoy some specialty cocktails. Though Stieg Larsson died of a heart attack in 2004 before his Millennium novels were published, the Swedish author had already penned 3 books. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. All bad things to do. They became international bestsellers that spawned a series of successful films starring Noomi Rapace, as well as an American adaptation from David Fincher. The series continued under author David Lagerkrantz, whose 2015 book, The Girl in the Spider's Web, is now a new movie starring The Crown's Claire Foy. The release was controversial. Stieg's girlfriend, who opposes the new novels, is in possession of a laptop that may have notes or even manuscripts indicating where the series would have gone. However, The author's family approved the new additions. Now there's a movie idea. So what do you think? What are some other works that have taken on a life of their own after the author has moved on? Let us know in the comments right down there, and join us here every Friday morning for new episodes of Heat Vision Breakdown.